I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
My dog went flying through the air over the trees. I don't know how it did it.
From baffling missing 411 cases that leave us questioning reality to the elusive and legendary creatures like Bigfoot, we are here to discuss it all.
By God, if a hand come from the other side of that fence, grab this thing by the head and neck, just one-timed it.
1 o'clock in the morning, I'm awakened by lights. Bright lights. I'm talking about, Josh, the lights were so bright, it looked like daytime, so I thought it was the morning.
There's just something going around, attacking our sheep. And my grandma used to talk about this guy, Ketso, that means, Bigfoot in our language, so.
If you have ever found yourself captivated by the unexplained or intrigued by the mysterious, you are in the right place. Welcome to Mysteries Unknown. Hey everybody, what's going on tonight? Glad you guys are with us. Welcome to another live from Mysteries Unknown. What's up, Daniel?
What's up, my dude? And what's up, everybody in the chat? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. I hope you got your Mountain Dew or your water ready. Guys, check out this coffee mug that Daniel got me. Check that out. If you can see it, I don't know if it'll focus. It's not going to focus, but anyways, really cool coffee mug. So I got plenty of coffee tonight, but we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We've had a lot of people, believe it or not, watch these lives from the UK and overseas. And so, Daniel did what he does and deep dived into this stuff. And we've got a couple stories and encounters for you guys from overseas, Bigfoot, a lot of different cryptids that we're going to be talking about tonight. And then just the normal chatting with you guys in the chat and different encounters, things like that. So it's going to be a fun show, man. So how's your day been?
Dude, today has been awesome. All around awesome.
That's good. That's good.
Say, so.
Well, that's good, man. It's always good. That's always good when it's awesome. So we got a couple members in the chat. See, we got Michelle here. I'm glad you like the welcome packet, and I'm glad you enjoyed the coffee. Taff the Wanderer is here. What's up, Taff? Pawpaw is here. Good to see you guys. I actually remembered to tell him that we were doing a live tonight. I've been guilty of that in the past, so I actually remembered to tell him. But anyways, it slipped my mind, but not tonight.
Well, it didn't slip my mind. Hey, Taft, who sent you a message to let you know we had a live?
Did you send him a message too?
Anybody that's in the chat right now, if I sent you a message to let you know we got a live going on tonight, put a 1 or an oh yeah in the chat.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm glad you did that because I most time I forget. But it's good to see everybody. Janet's here tonight. It's good to see you. Excited to have everybody here. So Rhonda's here. Got a lot of good people in the chat, so it's good to see everybody. And we're excited to do the show with you guys tonight. It's been a minute, and just excited. So Amity's here. It's good to see you. We're just excited. This is going to be a good show. And a lot of times when we talk about encounters, we don't think about these overseas encounters, but Bigfoot's everywhere, man. Was you shocked when you started to research into this? How many encounters there were besides the States?
There's a lot of encounters. Now, you guys, it's not only just Sasquatch, and that's what surprises me the most is that they're actual Sasquatch sightings, not only in the UK, but on mainland Europe. Which
it's odd to me.
It is, but it isn't, because you figure everybody talks about, it's the Bering Sea, the Bering Gap, between, Asia, Europe, and, North America. And you think about if these things have been around for a long time, all you have to do is go from Europe and keep migrating to the east until you wind up into the west part of the United States. So,
Well, that's, it's weird to me, and it kind of fits into my theory, as to what I think these things are, because I don't think they're landlocked, but that's it's going to be fun. It'll be fun to talk about, and I've not heard a lot of these encounters that you found, so I'm excited. But everybody's telling me that the notification on YouTube worked this time, so that's great. I'm glad you guys got notified. So hopefully you guys got your coffee and you're ready, because we're going to be talking about encounters all over the place. I've got one from Japan that's really strange, in the Hiroshima area, if I'm saying that right. But anyways, it's going to be good. Hiroshima. Yeah, I butchered that. So yeah, but it's going to be good. So we got a lot of different stuff to talk about. Guys, if you have received your welcome packet for being a member, please let me know. Send me an email, reach out to me. I just want to make sure everybody got theirs. And if you joined that when we're doing that giveaway and you did not receive yours, make sure to send me your address, because I think some people joined and they did not send me their address. So I appreciate everybody, all the members, all the support. Got a really, really good episode dropping on Monday. This one leaves me scratching my head. It's really, really odd. I've told Daniel a little bit about it, and it's out there, but it's definitely one that's very interesting, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So I'm going to drop it on Monday at 11 or 11:30. So
cool.
Yeah. So Papa Power says there's been a lot of reports of Bigfoot swimming from island to island. I can see that. I can definitely see that. If these things are as big as some of these sightings, people talk about, and what I saw and you saw, it wouldn't be a thing for them at all to swim. That's not a reach,
Well, I mean, I've seen, when I lived in the Pacific Northwest, I've seen deer swim from island to island, Puget Sound Islands. I've seen them swim. One of the coolest things I've ever seen regarding a deer crossing, like swimming, like in a channel across from one lake, one island to another. I actually saw an orca, a killer whale, take out the deer. That was one of the most amazing things. I watched it. A killer whale took that deer. I'm like, what?
I would not be one of them. That's wild, man. Like, that's not something you see every day, right? I wouldn't want to be in the water with that thing for sure. Hey, we got to, let's see. Antonio asked me a pretty good question. It's funny you ask, Antonio. When are you going to have the guy back from West Virginia? He had a very scary encounter, and you guys keep promising for him to come back, and I've been waiting. So I actually talked to him yesterday. He's really extremely busy. His wife's been very sick. He's had some health issues. So we're just waiting until he feels better, until there's a really good time. So we will have him back on. I talk to him at least a couple times a month. So we're in contact, and we're working on a time that he can come on and do that. His name is Chester. Wild encounter. Remember Chester's encounter?
Yep. Oh, that was. Whew. And you want to know why I remember it so much? And this is probably just an odd reason. Is how his dad treated him, and that's why I remember it so well.
Yeah, guys, if you've not watched it, it's really incredible. It's from West Virginia, and he basically got chased out of the woods by a Bigfoot creature, grabbed him by the back of his shirt, ripped his shirt off of him. He went home, and his dad basically just really abused him, put him in the back of the house, made him stay there all night. And what makes it so crazy to me is that house was made of glass. The sides of the house where he slept at was like a sunroom, and it was all glass. And this Bigfoot creature stalked him basically all night outside that house. We'd get up next to the window. He could hear it breathe, and he was just a kid. But his dad was pretty worthless, and just kind of didn't help him out at all. And really sad story. That one stuck with me. I'm like you, and it really bothered me. But he's a great guy. He really is. And it's worth the wait. When he comes back on, it'll be really good. So it's really, really, really good. But let's see. We got another comment. Somebody really liked the comment or the coffee. Janet liked the coffee. Thank you. Thanks so much. If you guys don't know, we launched a Mysteries Unknown coffee brand. I'll drop the link somewhere in the chat during the live, and I'll put it in the description after the live's over or sometime during it. I keep forgetting to do that, but working on some content for that. Going to be shooting some commercials. I got some pretty funny stuff with that, but that's all in the works. Bigfoot reports and data is here. It's good to see you, man. Let's see here. Let's see. Hey, Mr. and crew, love the show. You guys are amazing, Joe. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Paw Power says he's been emailing Ron Moorhead to get him on the show. Well, we'd be all right with that. We wouldn't mind that. Ron's a pretty good guy. I would love to talk to Ron. That'd be super cool. But excited that everybody's here. If you're just jumping on, we're going to be talking about Bigfoot encounters from overseas. And Daniel has been digging, finding some stories, and it's going to be good stuff. But really excited. And also, too, just an announcement, Daniel has started his very own podcast, guys. So we'll be talking about that, I'm sure, towards the end of the show. Very exciting. You know, I if you guys don't know, me and Daniel do not agree on everything. And that's, I think, what makes this so good is that we don't. We see things completely different when it comes to Bigfoot and what we believe in. But, you know, any kind of well, I'll let him talk about it later on the show. But yeah, he pretty cool. I actually went on his podcast, was his first guest, and was very honored to do that. So excited for you, man. I'm really excited for you.
Man, I appreciate it. And, you know, honestly, and, you know, some people have, if anybody goes back and reads any of the chats and stuff like that, you know, we catch a little bit of stuff because kind of like bro crushes, I guess. But honestly, you guys, I've always wanted to do it. I've never really had the courage to do it. I've had some pretty amazing encounters. I've had some very, very terrifying encounters. And, you know, through Josh just giving me that little push and showing me what to do and stuff like that. Yep. I launched it a week ago, and I've got two things up there already. And yeah, but this is not about that podcast. Guys, we got some amazing stuff from our cousins over across the pond. So
yeah, I'm excited to get into it, man. And you know, I was more than happy to help you, Daniel. And you know, for you guys who don't know, and it's, you go watch that first episode. But for you guys who don't know, me and my wife used to, and I'll just give a short, brief synopsis. But we used to go and look for ghosts and things like that. And you know, as a Christian, I never hide it on this channel. You know, my faith is super important to me, and it was one of those things to where we got to the point to where we started to see a lot of things, and I really felt like we brought something home. And you can look at things however you want, but I think those things are if you're running into demons, or I'm sorry, ghosts, and you're chasing that stuff, you're chasing demons, and that's my opinion. That's what I think, and I felt like we brought something home with this. And I promised my wife that I wouldn't touch that stuff with a 10-foot pole anymore, and I walked away from it. So the only way I'll ever talk about it is to bring light to it. And Daniel gave me the opportunity to do that. So I'll shut up about it, but it was a good show. I appreciate, you know, you let me get that off my chest, but man, I'm ready to get into this stuff. So,
hey, you guys ready? Okay. So here we go.
Ready.
Now you guys understand that trying to find stuff like this, it's a lot of video, and it's hard for me to really find any stories. I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong place or not, but I was able to find some stuff. So sightings of Sasquatch usually come out of America. Okay. That's known, but there are some in the UK. They're not sure what they see, but they only believe, you know, what comes from over here. So they believe that, hey, we saw a Bigfoot. We saw a bloody Bigfoot. We did. You know, but hey, so one of the main, I guess he's like the guy in England. His name is Lee Brickley. He's like 35, 36 years old. And he said he has found tracks and claw marks after a decade of searching for the ape-like beast. He's even casted prints that were 16 to 17 inches long from toe to heel, nearly twice the size of an 8-foot tall man. So that's pretty crazy. Lee accepts that people will think that we say crazy, they say mad, but he hopes to prove them wrong. He said, when I show them the pictures, they're amazed. So this guy has a bunch of pictures. I was looking for pictures. I didn't find any. There may have been sightings of a Yeti-like creature around Cannock Chase in Shadfordshire, dating back as late as the 1800s. Lee has heard of 12 in the past 2 years and has even camped in the woods as he's tried to get more proof. He said back in 2021, loads of people now message him regularly asking for updates. I got an anonymous email from a man saying that he was flying a remote control plane over Gentleshire Common at Cannock Chase, who said he had seen something unusual. With his description of the location, I went out straight away and found the footprint. I was astounded. I had never seen a footprint so large in my life. It was clearly not made by a mold or a cast. That is probably the moment that I realized that Cannock Chase Bigfoot was more than just a myth. A month later, he found claw marks on a tree near a mutilated deer. Now, he went on to describe what this deer looked like. He goes, seeing deer around that area is a commonplace. Seeing dead deer is a commonplace because they get hit by a vehicle. And it's common. He goes, but this was different. He said when he investigated this deer, this mutilated deer, it looked like something had bit down on its throat and tore its throat out and then began to just eat from the torso down. He said, like he said, he had never seen anything like that. He also claims to have caught glimpses of Bigfoot once while researching for his book. He went on to say, I can't say for sure what it was, but it was roughly around 7 p.m. and it was getting dark and the figure was covered in shadows. It definitely moved more like an animal than a man, but it was easily close to 7 feet tall. I tried to run after it. Okay, I mean, not the smartest thing. But it was too quick and disappeared into the dense section of the trees. Now, this area, this Cannock Chase, is like 26 square miles of forest. Okay. He's been fascinated with Bigfoot ever since he was a child. He said he remembers watching Bigfoot documentaries with his dad when he was young. All the famous sightings were only in America. So when I was a bit older, I started researching any UK sightings that I could find. I just kept going from here to there. So when he would hear about a sighting or potential sighting, he would travel to that location to investigate the location just to see what he could find. He's published multiple books on supernatural occurrences in Cannock Chase, including his most recent book on Bigfoot. He said there have actually been many sightings since as far back as the 1800s of a man-monkey type creature in Staffordshire. Sightings of Bigfoot at Castle Ring, which is located to the southern end of Cannock Chase, has been sighted. So Cannock Chase is a former royal forest, which is now managed by the Forestry England. This is an area of outstanding natural beauty. It has a good 2-hour drive from the Chilterns, but although a sunny September evening is a perfect time to see Chase at its best. It's picturesque part of Staffordshire. It perhaps best known for its folklore. Now here we go. These are things that have been reported, seen in this area. Large black dogs, large cats, werewolves, UFOs, and Bigfoot.
I mean, you have there it in. I mean, you have all the things, right?
It's
just, yeah.
It's 26 square miles or 29 square miles, and you have reported sightings of that. There have been up to 20 reported werewolf sightings alone in this area. There are also even paranormal sightings and experiences in and around this area as well. They've had paranormal groups visit it, with several of them claiming they saw a snarling beast rear up onto its hind legs and then run off into the bushes. The most recent sighting was April of 2007 in Stamford, Stanford Post newspaper ran a report which they said that the West Midland Ghost Club had been called in to investigate calls from people who had seen a werewolf-type creature prowling around the chase. Several people claim they had seen a werewolf walking on its hind legs in the German War Cemetery on Camp Road. The WM Ghost Club took what is called a credible eyewitness account from a local scoutmaster and postman who claimed to have come face to face with a werewolf. They said they had thought it was a large dog until it raised itself up to full height, which was close to 7 feet tall, and then it darted into the bushes when it was startled. A BBR witness report says, I live near the chase area. I had a real encounter with something strange. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw something that looked like a person in a Chewbacca costume. He was just really bulky and big. Whatever it was, it stood like it had been frozen in time. So I shouted in a friendly voice, Oi, what are you doing over there in a costume? Out here. Are you stupid?
Love the accent, man.
He was roughly 250 to 300 feet away from me. And as I shouted, he turned around and he let off this growl like a lion's roar, but it seemed to come out from his body. I stood frozen, and it turned its legs and went into a movement. The back muscles expanded like a bodybuilder, and as it began to run away, I thought he goes, it wasn't coming after me, but running in the opposite direction. Whatever this thing was, it had patches of hair or fur missing on its back and right leg. It was dark in color. You could see the muscles expanding as it moved. It had patches of hair missing like it had been caught on a barbed wire fence or attacked in some way. It moved in a really weird way. When it turned to look at me, it moved its head and shoulders at the same time, like it couldn't turn its head without using its body somehow. So, you guys, that is a Sasquatch.
Oh,
if that's
100%.
what they saw, that's a Sasquatch.
100%.
Again, no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, man.
But again, we're not saying that this is what it is. I'm reading a report that I found regarding this creature. So, you guys can take it with, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, you can't hey, that's what it is. That's crazy to me, man. Like, you don't think about them having a lot of sightings. And I guess one of the things that are associated with that area is, is the werewolf. There's tons of encounters with that, those type of creatures. And I guess maybe you don't hear about Bigfoot as much because maybe, and I've never been over there, but maybe there's just not as much open land or wilderness. Maybe, I don't really know. I know that they're pretty populated, but yeah, that's definitely what that was, man, in my opinion. But
you definitely have areas of forest and stuff out there. In England, overseas, it's really weird, especially with their military bases. So over here, if anybody's ever been in the military or ever drove by a military base, like the main base, they don't have a lot of trees. They don't have, especially if it's like along a flight line or anything like that. You're not going to have a lot of trees. Now overseas, they kind of build their bases in and around the trees. I mean, if they have a landing strip, of course they're going to clear out that area, but it's not uncommon to find patches of forest, especially on a military base. So, I mean, that's just what it is. So,
well, they're known for, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, I guess. And they're also known for, the Loch Ness Monster. I don't know if you ever looked into that much or studied that a lot. I know when I was a kid, that really fascinated me. I watched a lot of documentaries on that. And so they have their own cryptids, man, but it's,
yes,
I don't guess they don't have as many as we do, but I know in research, you were telling me that, they had a lot of stuff kind of like Mothman. You'd come upon some stories about that.
Man, I came across some weird stuff. And
Yeah.
these are where multiple people has witnessed, these cryptids.
Let's hear it,
So
man.
so this one is called, again, this is Cannock Chase. Okay? Cannock Chase, the Pigman of Cannock Chase. When night falls, enter the woods at your own peril, for inside lurks something worse than the devil. Avoid at all cost the gathering places, where at midnight the Pigman roams on Cannock Chase. Roswell, Area 51, and Cannock Chase. These are lists of some of the most mysterious locations involving cryptozoology on planet Earth. Most have heard of Roswell or Area 51, but very few people heard the tales of Cannock Chase. This horrible location has kept the locals in sheer fright for nearly a century. A century. A large structure known as Pie Green Tower resides inside Cannock Chase. This is where an abnormal number of sightings of UFOs, odd lights, werewolves, giant snakes, Bigfoot, black cats, aliens, and many reports of government officials sneaking around the perimeter of the tower and the forest. The tower was built during the Cold War by the British as a backup comm system, as they were worried about the unexpected EMP attack from the Soviets. But they say there's more than electronics inside those mysterious walls. Another mysterious being said to lurk around Pie Green Tower is the Pigman. According to local legend, this creepy monster originated when World War II had just recently ended, and the British and American scientists joined forces to conduct a series of peculiar experiments. The tests were too far. Allegedly, they abducted a woman, hypnotized her, and then impregnated her with artificial human pig DNA seed in an attempt to create a creature to perform their tests upon. This is like straight out of Dr. Zhivago almost. Like, it's crazy.
What?
Seriously. Scientists closely monitored the woman for 10 months, and they finally determined that the horrible test did not work. A year later, they were stunned to discover that her pregnancy was severely delayed. She bore a baby human who had a snout and a face of a pig. Much later, this creature retreated into the woods of Cannock Chase to avoid the prejudicial glances of human eyes. For decades, people have since then reported seeing a tall man with the head of a pig roaming around the mysterious landscape. Let's see here. Lee Brickley, a local known for odd legends, knows it well. He first heard about it in his school from the aforementioned rhyme, that rhyme that I read, when at night falls, enter the woods at your own peril.
Yeah.
After doing at least a decade of research into the man pig, or the pig man, he finally wrote a book about Cannock Chase, which documents the sighting of this humanoid. Once an email was sent to him by a local couple that documented their own encounter with the pig man, and here is the original email. Dear Mr. Brickley, I've seen something rather odd in Cannock Chase that I think may be of some interest to you. In October of 1993, was walking around Castle Ring, the wife and I heard some strange noises coming from the surrounding trees. Thinking it was likely to be a local couple enjoying an illicit liaison, we quickly moved away from the sound and headed back in the direction of our car. Upon reaching the steps down to the car park, I happened to turn around and lay my eyes on the strangest creature I have ever seen. Okay, he turned around. That means this thing started following him. This thing was roughly 7 feet tall. From the neck down, it looked like a man, even wearing clothes. But its head was far too big for a human, and it had an elongated face with a snout like a nose. When I pointed it out to my wife, she became terrified. So we started walking more quickly towards our car and got inside. That's when we started to hear this really high-pitched squealing noise, like the sound of a pig being killed. That really spooked us. Have you ever come across anything like this before? Regards, John and Ann.
Man.
Okay, again, you guys, I'm not saying that this is real, but I copied and pasted the actual email. I wish I would have printed it up, but I tried and it wouldn't let me. I should have taken maybe a screenshot and tried to print that up, but I just copied and pasted. And yeah, it's an actual email written to him from this.
Wow. It's a wild world, man. I think, Rhonda summed it up best. She says, the older I get, the more I'm convinced that there are way more mysteries unknown out there in this world. Let me ask you a question, Daniel. Me and you've been in this world for a while now, and we talk about this stuff almost daily.
Yeah.
It seems like the more that you're into this, the more you see these things, or it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. I don't know about it for you, but for me, it does at least. And not much shocks me anymore. But that was wild, man.
Well, I mean, through all of the, you see what Jesus King put?
No, let me see.
It was Man Bear Pig, which is awesome. Man Bear Pig.
Hey, your accent's killing it tonight, by the way. Everybody's liking your accent. So
thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you guys, I think about it this way. I have been on the continent of North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. Okay. I've only got 3 more continents to visit. And I have never in my life seen a lot of this stuff outside of the United States. I haven't seen any of this stuff outside of the United States. Never heard about this stuff until I started checking things out. Joe Bart, you're 100%. Pretty much every base has some sort of forest in or around it, in Germany, in Ireland for sure. Absolutely. But again, I've never heard of any of these things. And when I started, because we've had a lot of people, we've had a few people. We've had someone from Finland, Sweden, I think, a couple of people from Ireland, I think someone from Scotland, from the UK, asking about things. Hey, what about this? What about this? And when I started digging into it, I'm just thinking I'm going to find Dogman / werewolf or Bigfoot. I didn't think I was going to find Man Bear Pig. Like for real.
You never know, man. It reminds me of the story of what is the name of that island I talked about with the Montauk Monster? Basically, it's off the coast of New York, and it's where they house certain disease for the U.S. and they do experiments on these animals, and they started having weird animals wash up on the shore and stuff. But you never know, man. What these people are doing, how they got there, who knows? But it's really, really weird, man. But Plum Island, that's it. Yep. Plum Island. So it reminds me of that kind of stuff, man. Like, who knows what they're going to do, man. But we'll see. Amity says closing the blinds, pulling the curtains shut, and hiding under covers. That's I guess that's one way to handle it.
But see,
Bobo wants to know. Go ahead, man.
No, go ahead. Bobo wants to know.
She wants to know. He was wanting to know. I'm wondering if some types of cameras can pick up things that human eyes can't see.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. There are some. You have your infrared. You have your flare. They have the ability to see different heat signatures, different what's the spectrums of light. So yeah, they're out there, but they're pretty expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I personally think that if you go out and you're looking for this stuff, I really honestly think you're not going to find it. I think that if you are out there, you're not looking, that's when you have these encounters. Not to say you can't, run into one accidentally or, come across some evidence, because people do all the time. But I think, the kind of encounters I've had, the kind of encounters you've had, you weren't looking for them. You know what I mean? They were just, they just happened. And maybe that's what's going on over there. These people, obviously, that's the thing to me is, even though these things are overseas, there's still those common denominator factors that go along with all of these cryptid, things. They seem to have a handful of things that are all in common all across the world. And it makes things really, really, really odd. So, Let's see. Greasebag McQueen says, after realizing what my encounter really was, I was able to look back at certain times in my life where I believe I was in the presence of real evil or the supernatural. And, I think that's where me and you don't see eye to eye with this stuff. And that's what I love about it. But I think these things they're evil. I think they're supernatural. And I think that's why a lot of the encounters overseas are similar to the encounters that we have here. And, maybe that's why they're all over the world, because these things are more than flesh and blood, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. But, it just really makes you wonder, man. And it's a lot of weird stuff. But I've never heard of the Pigman thing. I've never heard of that. That's a first for me.
There's actually more. I have more about him too, because it's not the only account that has been written. Others have also claimed to see the creature, including someone who shared the experience on the internet. Here it is in its original form. We caped there one night. I'm going to say camped, but they put down cape. So they camped there one Friday night, roughly around 2006. Just a sheet in the trees, probably 5 of us. I had a lift there by one of my mates. They all had work on Saturday, so planned to go back early. Friday night, we were quite close to the road. We had a fire burning for warmth and light. The police pulled up and told us to put it out. Me being me, I told them no. So they got in their cars and drove off, which I thought was strange. That's never really happened to me before. So the next day, the lads went out to work. They were planning to come back and camp the night after going to work. I decided to stay on my own. I moved all my stuff deeper into the forest as not to attract the police attention again. I was there 5 hours on my own, and I set up 3 tents, put sheets in the trees, built a surround to stop the wind, so a windbreak, to stop the wind, and got all of the firewood ready. It was a masterpiece. 2 of my mates came back for me and said no one was up for stopping in the night. I was pissed. All that stuff of mine, around 600 quid worth, and I was to just leave it in the forest unattended. I wasn't happy. I'm not easily frightened. I spent 5 hours alone in the forest that day with no fear. I had an 18-inch long razor-sharp machete. I know sounds a bit sinister, but we were all responsible adults. And we were all responsible adults there. And you never know what you might need when you might need one. It's better to have and not need than need and not have. So that night I rang everyone. I knew I knew to get to come back with me, so my stuff wasn't left alone. No one wanted to. So I decided to do it. I said, I'm doing it. I'm going to camp there on my own. I got a book I was reading and went, and I pulled up in my car where I had originally seen the UFO. I walked casually across the road. There was a tall bush you had to walk through to get on the path. I suddenly clicked and said to myself, "You're on your own now, mate. Be a bit wiser and more cautious." So I stopped in the center of the large bush to light a cigarette. Now, I'm not going to say what they call cigarettes in England. It's a derogatory comment or a word if we say it here. So he lit a cigarette. I listened and heard movement. I slowly and quietly moved out of the bush and around, expecting to see a big deer. Instead, roughly 200 yards away from me, I was looking down a hill. I saw a white figure on all fours, looking like it was sniffing the ground as if a dog would if you were walking it down the street covers of the lamppost, like it was sniffing, I guess, to use the bathroom. First, I thought it was the warden. He found the stuff and it looked and was looking for us with a dog. But then the sound it made, it was more sounding like a pig sniffing. So I thought, uh-oh, it's a large boar. was the right color to be. It was the right color to be a pig. I watched it for about 30 seconds trying to determine. Then it stopped dead. It didn't move. I knew it now knew I was there. I froze, took hold of my machete, and waited. Then this thing stood up on its hind legs. It was massive. I'm 6'3". This thing was easily 7 foot tall plus. And it ran at me at speeds up a hill, like a person would run, squalling like a banshee. You would hear on a horror film crossed with a pig. I ran back to my car and drove off without looking back. I've never been so scared in my life. I have been back since, but never on my own. The funny thing is, I've never heard of anyone knowing or any other proof of this until last year. I can't believe I'm not the only one to see this. Typically, I see something at 2 or 3 years of trying when I was out on my own. I have proof of the lights in the trees. I have 2 other eyewitnesses, too. But I have no proof of the Pigman other than believe me or not. One other thing I missed about the first time was as we were riding our bikes towards the light, each of us felt a massive drop in temperature. Only way to describe it is like we walked into a giant meat freezer, and it was instant and extreme.
Ooh, that's pretty wild, man. You imagine something like that chasing you, coming at you, and all you had was the machete. I don't think that would do much good, man. I don't think you'd have much luck, man. You'd be a missing 411 probably. That's pretty wild, man. What area was that in again? Did they say
that was the chase, Cannock Chase?
Cannock Chase. Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty wild, man. That's wild. I've got Luck Roofing's asking me. He wants to know the source for that. So if you get a chance, I know you did a lot of digging and stuff
of this. I got to go back and find the websites that I found this stuff on. But I just did a Google search for, I just did a Google search for like United Kingdom Sasquatch things. If you who asked that? What was that again?
Luck Roofing.
Hey, Luck Roofing. If you Google, his name is Lee Brickley, Brickley. If you Google his name, stuff will come up all over for him. Like he's like the Ron Moorhead, or over in England.
He's like the guy.
Yeah, he's like the guy.
It's really neat, some of the people in this community that you get to meet that are, they have the same interests, and it brings us all together. And I think we're all looking for answers, and we're trying to figure out what's going on and what these things are. But Frida's in the house. She's family to me. She says that they're evil for sure. I believe that 100%. And Bubba says it's coming out of a portal or something. That reminds me of the Daryl Denton and what is his name? Help me out, man.
What are you talking about?
Martin Groves encounter, where they had this creature come along the side of them like that, man, and just like it felt like it came out of a portal. So pretty wild stuff, man. And that's the thing, like there's so many common denominators across the board, like from here all the way overseas. So it's weird, man. Like, I don't know. It is so weird to me, but it's definitely an interesting world, man. That was a wild one, man. Really wild.
Oh, I know. Bro, it gets even crazier. Like there's crazier stuff in here, man. Honestly, I'm like, what is going on over in the UK? How do we not know about this? It's like they're keeping a secret from us. And
they don't want us. They don't want us to know. They don't want all these Americans to know.
They're pretty much, they're probably upset because one, the Irish and the Scottish beat up on the British, and they try to mess with us, and we beat up on the British, and then we had to go over there and help them out. And again, guys, I'm just joking. There. I mean, facts are facts, but I love my English brothers and sisters over there. But you guys, honestly, they have. I'm just telling you, man, it's some of the stuff that I found over there. It's absolutely crazy. Now, these two other cryptids that I found, it was like a cryptid wiki page that I found, and it lists all these different types of cryptids that are found all over the world. They give you some background on them and stuff like that. So, this is the last two that I have. Again, I found on it's called Cryptid Wiki or something like that. And it's an amazing site, but it's funny because they have stuff like the dodo bird, because what they do is they bring up things that, hey, what are we looking at here? I saw this. And what it is someone's reporting seeing an animal that has either been extinct for a long time or, and all of a sudden it just reappears. Like, honestly, the Tasmanian devil, people has actually seen that, like, recently, like in the last 2 years. They've caught it on trail cam. They thought it was extinct. Yeah, they thought it was extinct.
Wow.
Not the Tasmanian devil, the Tasmanian tiger, which it kind of looks like a dog, and it's got stripes on it. It's got a very wide mouth. Like, it can open its mouth super wide, and that is believed to been extinct. And they've caught it on trail cam, which is amazing to me.
Wow, man.
So the last two cryptids I have, you guys, these are okay. So in 1963, 4 British teens saw a UFO land in a nearby forest. But what would haunt them for the rest of their lives was a bizarre bat-like creature that apparently came out of this UFO. This bat-like creature is called Bat Beast of Kent. On a chilly autumn evening, November 16th, 1963, 17-year-old John Flaxen, 18-year-old Mervyn Hutchinson, and 2 other young friends were walking home from a party on Sandling Road in the county of Kent, a region apparently rife with cryptozoology and paranormal activity, when they saw a silent glowing orb-like object descend from the heavens. The unusual self-illuminated void object, which was described as being just a few meters in diameter, hovered above a field. It eventually made its way behind the trees and settled into the shadow-infested foliage of the woods of Sandling Park. While the teenagers were still reeling from their astonishment at sighting something like a UFO, something even more inconceivable would soon grab their attention. Moments after the extraordinary aircraft apparently landed behind the trees, the teens noticed a shaking in the bushes, and what emerged was one of the most unique varmints ever to be chronicled in UFOlogy. Later, the 4 horrified teens witnessed what would explain that an erratic, squabbling, quasi-humanoid figure emerged from the woods and waddled towards them. The beast apparently looked like a headless bat that was approximately 5 feet tall, with large web-looking feet and wings protruding from its back. In Hutchinson's own words, it didn't seem like it had any head. There was just these huge wings on its back, like a bat. The group of friends, understandably overwhelmed with terror and adrenaline, sprinted away from the freakish bat thing and made their way to the nearest police station. Once there, they related their tale. First, they thought, oh, hold on a second. Sorry. First, they told their tale to what must assumed a highly skeptical officer. Flaxen would later state that he had felt cold all over during that episode. Less than a week later, on the 21st of November, a young man named Keith Croucher seemed to confirm the teens' claim of an unusual object soaring over Kent, when he announced that he too had seen an oddly shaped craft hovering over the local soccer field, not far from where Flaxen and his crew had claimed to have seen the previous encounter with the UFO and its bizarre occupant. On November 23rd, John McGoldrick decided that the reportings coming from Sandling Park were simply too outrageous to be ignored. So after soliciting help from an unnamed, clearly yet intrepid friend, McGoldrick and his cohort made their way to the site of the unusual going-ons, hoping to have a face-to-face encounter with this strange creature. Once inside the wooded area, he claims that he and his companion discovered no less than 3 footprints, each 24 inches long and 9 inches across. He also stated that they had stumbled across an area where the bracken or foliage had been flattened as by some tremendous weight. He claims that he caught ear of the his claims caught ear of the local press, which were no doubt eager to feed the public's ever-growing appetite for new information regarding the strange phenomenon. To that end, the newsman accompanied McGoldrick back to the scene of the weirdness on December 11th. While the reporters did not manage to turn up any new evidence, it was stated that the thickets were still bathed in an eerie glow, which continued for some days before subsiding. The case was reported in scads of newspapers, as well as a 1971 issue of Flying Saucer Review, under the title Saltwood Mystery, due to its proximity to the area. In 1970, ufologist Christopher Wolf also reopened the case for this most avian anomaly. According to records, he interviewed Flaxen, who also inspected the scene of the unearthly encounter. Following his investigation, he came to the dubious conclusion that what Flaxen, Hutchin, and his chums actually saw was an ordinary crow, oddly illuminated by flashing of an electrical train passing not far away in a chilled autumn air. He apparently did not attempt to explain, however, how the crow managed to appear to be nearly 5 feet in height, had web-looking feet, or was headless. Other skeptics have even more dubious suggestions that the quartet saw nothing more than a scarecrow. Thus ends the apparent saga of the Bat Beast of Kent, but it has been pointed out in numerous investigations that as unusual as the creature's description was, it bears the uncanny resemblance to its British crypto cousin and Cromwell's most famous monster, the Owlman.
Another one I've never heard of.
Me neither. But okay, here's the thing. How are you going to tell 4 kids that you saw an ordinary crow? The biggest crow I've seen is like over a foot tall.
Oh yeah, and that's big. I mean, that's big.
You know,
that's pretty wild, man. Like that's crazy stuff, man. Like I don't know what you're supposed to do with all that. You know, that's I mean, what do you do with that?
That's why this show is called Mysteries Unknown.
It's a mystery. That's it. That's your answer. You want to know what the answer is? It's a mystery. That's the answer.
Exactly.
Because
Candy, illuminating crow for real.
Yeah, that is so wild, man. I don't know. And here's my take on all this stuff, man. Like, and Daniel, I would love to hear your take on it. But and everybody else is, what do you think these things are that people are seeing? But in my opinion, I think they're definitely, fallen angels or a demonic presence that's manifesting into these creatures. And that's why I think when they're flesh, they're flesh. When they're not, they're not. And that's just my opinion. And that's why I think a lot of the times, they can, it sounds weird to say it, but they can shapeshift into another type of being, type of creature. And so I think a lot of these people that are seeing this stuff are just, they're running into, these creatures that are basically the same thing. They're just shapeshifters, man. They're the same here as they are there. But those are just my thoughts, my opinions, man. Like I'm no expert, but, we got somebody from Texas in the house tonight. Quick shout out to people in the chat. So everybody that's been chatting us up, keep doing it. Sorry if we missed you, but we're excited you guys are here. And Daniel, I want to say you're doing a great job with these stories, man. Good research.
Well, thank you,
good
sir.
job. Yeah.
You's a good boss. You make it easy for
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Go through here and look
That's
at
that
all the old-
accent. Hey, listen. I know they want to hear it, man. Give us the good old English accent, man.
Pardon me. So the next story we're going to talk about is the Owlman. In the name given to a large owl-like humanoid entity noticeably similar to that of the Mothman in North America. It lives in Cornwall, England, and has been sighted several times. First sighting took place in 1976, it did, in the village of Maine. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Mawn, Mawnan. Okay, I'm done with that English accent because it's horrible. The Owlman and sometimes is seen as an English counterpart of the Mothman due to its similarities between the two. You know, they say West Virginia Mothman. Sightings. This is when it was seen. So, in the year of 1976, a paranormal researcher by the name of Tony Doc Shields came forward claiming that he had investigated a report of two young girls on holiday in Maine who saw a large winged creature hovering above the church tower on April 17th, 1976. Some stories vary, but most are consistent when it comes to what the girls dubbed the creature Owlman. On July the 3rd, a 14-year-old named Sally Chapman was camping with a friend, her name's Barbara Perry, in the woods near the church. According to her account, as she stood outside her tent, she heard this hissing sound and turned to see a figure that looked like an owl as big as a man, with pointed ears and red eyes. Them girls reported that creature flew up in the air, revealing black pincer-like claws. Sightings of this figure continued to be reported the following day, when it was described as a silvery gray. And on two occasions, 2 years later, in June and August of 1978, all within the vicinity of that church. Because both of the 1970 sightings involved Doc Shields, an eccentric. You know what that eccentric means? That he's one of them weird fellas. With the fondness for hoaxes, researcher Jonathan Dowles acknowledged that Shields could have invented the Owlman. However, Downs claimed to have interviewed a young man who we'll call Gavin, who encountered the Owlman in 1989 independently of Shields. Gavin and his girlfriend claimed to have seen this creature. It was all about 5 feet tall. The legs had high ankles, and the feet were large and black with 2 huge toes are visible on each side. The creature was gray with brown, and the eyes definitely glowed. Then in 1995, a female tourist from Chicago, Illinois, I say Illinois, wrote in the Western Morning News in Toronto, claiming to have seen a bird man with a ghastly face, as a wide mouth and glowing eyes with pointed ears, as well as clawed wings. Now, y'all, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's crazy. That's the end of it right there. So you had like 5 different sightings of this thing, even though one guy tried to debunk it. And you had 5 separate sightings in different years, and you even had someone from America that saw this thing.
That's wild, man. I mean, you know, they're everywhere. And when you have multiple sightings like that over a span of time, I mean, that makes me tend to believe that a little bit more because of that, you know. So that was pretty creepy, man. But hey, listen, I got to tell you, I love the accent. You did good with that. So we also got a new member, man. Greasebag McQueen. Thanks for being a member, dude. I really appreciate that. He's a great guy, man. He's a really good guy. Glad you guys are here. Love this community. Love everybody in the chat. You guys are a great part of this community. We love having you guys here. So got a really good comment back here too. Rebel says, love the show. New eyes, new ears, and I love it. We're glad you're here. Really glad you're here.
Well, Rebel, thank you
so-
very much for joining our tribe. It's called the Mystery Unknown Tribe, and we just love you guys.
Accent and all. So whatever kind of accent you got, you're welcome here. We don't care. So what cracks me up, man, is I know you've lived all over the place, but you're up north. Do you ever pop that accent out when you're up north, up there around all the Northerners? Do you ever throw that out there?
All these Yankees up here, I'll tell you right now, sometimes they'll get me going. Man, they'll get my fur up, and I'll tell you, man, they get me all going. I get all lathered up, and I just start, I'm fixing to put a whipping on you boys.
That's so great, man. I went to, my dad was from Ohio growing up, and I would go up there as a kid, man, just a teenager, and they would just sit and listen to me talk because they thought it was hilarious, my accent, you know, because they couldn't understand me for one. So anyways, yeah, pretty crazy. So Greasebag McQueen says, glad to be a part of this community. Y'all took me seriously after what happened to me. Yeah, that's the whole premise for this platform is I really did want to give people a safe place to share their encounters and to talk about this stuff. I know when I first shared mine, I really hadn't discovered any podcasts really, and I didn't have a community to share this stuff with. And I remember when I shared mine, it was with a family member, and they just kind of looked at me like, knowing I was a police officer, knowing me, knowing my history, I'm not one of these guys just to make a bunch of stuff up. And they just kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And I decided I wanted to change that. And so hopefully we're doing that. If you guys got an encounter you want to talk about or send me, you can send it to me by email. Email scrolling along the bottom there, but it's mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com. So promise this is a safe place for you guys to do that and to get those stories out there. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Let's see here. Something about our Arkansas accent. Yeah, we've got a pretty thick accent down here in the South. So it's definitely different for sure. But, I have yet to have somebody on the show that is from overseas. I would love to do that. So if you're watching this show and you've got an encounter, you want to come on here and tell me and Daniel about it, we would love to hear about it. So, yeah. And I know sometimes we have people from overseas watching, but, anyways, Frida says, I got a job when I lived in New Hampshire because of my Arkansas accent. That's great, man. That is so awesome. That is great. That is so awesome. I used to say, they'd ask me, what do you want to drink? And I'd say, I want a Coke. And they'd bring me a Coke. And I'm like, no, I want a Coke. And they're like, no, everything up here is Coke. Or I'm sorry, if you ask for a Coke, you're going to get a Coke. Down here in the South, it's like, everything's Coke. Pepsi's Coke. Mountain Dew's Coke. It's all Coke. Not there, though.
One of my favorite things is I took my daughter when she was young, under 10, down to Tennessee to see my buddy. And we were asking, hey, what kind of pop you want or something like that. She goes, oh, I like grape. And my buddy goes, you mean purple drink? And yeah, purple drink. So I remember, years later, we went out to place to drink or to have dinner and whatnot. And the waitress is like, okay, dear, what can I get for you? My daughter goes, I'll have a purple drink.
That's hilarious, man. That is so great. That is so great.
And she sounded like she's a little redneck, man. I'm like, hell yeah.
That's so funny, man. That's hilarious. Raise them right, man. Raise them right. That is so great. Good story, man. Good story. Well, the only one I've got is one encounter, and it's from Japan, which is not an area that you hear a lot of about. But it happened in Hiroshima. Am I saying that right, Daniel? Did I say
Hiroshima?
Right? Hiroshima. I butchered that. But it says on the evening of July 20th, 1970, a man in a pickup truck in the northern town of Hiroshima come across a rather unsettling sight, an ape-like creature walking on the mountainside. After word spread about the encounter, other locals came forward with their own reports of the animal walking upright. The descriptions were similar. The beast was around 7 foot tall, a gorilla-like body, and the face shaped in an inverted triangles. That's pretty much the only information I could find about it, but I thought that was really interesting because it's not something you hear a lot about, or at least I haven't. I haven't heard a lot of encounters from Japan, but They're definitely all over the place. We didn't even touch on the Yeti or anything like that. I mean, that's a whole thing just in itself.
That is a crazy cryptid to get into, and hopefully we'll get into that another time. I mean, I would love to really not just try to find, oh look, here's one story about a Yeti, because I mean,
yeah,
Yeti is like wicked. Like they are always. I've never heard of an encounter where a Yeti has been passive. Or Yeti will actively go look for someone and just beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, there was a story, and I agree. We should do a whole show on the Yeti, and I think maybe we'll do that on our next live. But there's a story, and I'd love to dig into it. But basically, there's a bunch of people that were, hiking or camping up, in the mountains, and they did a lot of strange stuff. And basically, they contributed to a Yeti attack, and it wiped out I think 10 people. I need to do some more research and find out all the information, but.
Are you talking about that one? Are you talking about that one in Russia?
Yes, that's the one.
You guys, that's it. It's crazy.
Yeah, Janet just had a comment there. Do y'all think Yeti killed those kids in Russia in the 1960s? That's exactly what I was talking about. Yes, I do. I think so. And I think if you guys want to see me and Daniel do a show on that, live on that, let us know. But I think that would be a good one to cover that story, because that's a really there's a lot of detail with that. That's a wild one. So, but there's a lot of strange stuff out there. I also got a story to read for you guys tonight, and this is just I don't know if you got anything else from across the pond, man.
I do. I got one from. I actually got a couple. I got one in Luxembourg.
Dude.
You feel like me read that one?
Yeah, dude, please read it. I want to hear more of these, man. So, I'm all ears.
This is crazy, because I've been to Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a beautiful, beautiful country. So this actually took place August 10th, 2001. And the report goes, let me first describe what, when, and where I saw it. I live in Luxembourg, a small country in Europe. On August 10th, 2001, at roughly 3 p.m., the sun was shining and there was only a few clouds on the sky. I decided to go out for a walk, so I took my car and drove to the big forest of Schulenweller. There are no streets near the forest, so I had to walk roughly 1 kilometer to reach it. I started to film nature. After about an hour, I was deep inside the forest, so I decided to go home. But suddenly I heard a little noise. I turned around. I didn't see anything. A few seconds later, I heard a sound of a breaking branch. I turned around again, and I saw a dark figure standing a few meters behind me. It was about 2 meters tall, which is roughly 6'6". It was tall, dark, hairy, and very big. I tried to film it, but it disappeared quickly. I couldn't follow anymore. After about an hour, I was at home, and again, I still couldn't believe what I had seen there. My camera is a digital Sony, so I made 3 small MPEG files and 1 picture, which I'll send you. You can show it on your page or send it to another person. I hope someone can explain this to me. I swear this is not a fake, nor is the film been manipulated in any way. Feel free to respond and ask any questions. Sincerely yours, Frank Hansen in Luxembourg. And he's seen that August 10th, and this report was done on September 23rd, 2001. I don't know if I can copy. No, I can't copy the picture. But what I'll do is I'll send you a link so you can look at it. I don't know if you're going to be able to. I'll send it to you in email real quick.
Okay.
Bro, these are crazy pictures because there's obviously something there. There is something there. So I don't know if you're going to be able to show it or not, but I'll send you a link to the page.
Okay. Yeah, send it to me.
Yeah, I sent it in an email. It's sent right now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys. And let's see, what else do I have here? That one's in Luxembourg. let's see here. There's one in Mexico. There's one in the Philippines. Let's see here. Yeah, there it's all over, bro. Panama, the hairy beast of Darren. The island of Luzon in the Philippines. Sumatra Duri. That sounds pretty cool. Thailand. So I mean,
Thailand. Wow, they are everywhere, man.
Vietnam?
Yeah.
Like
I'd
seriously.
say
Do you want me to read one of those?
yeah, I'm all ears. I mean, I'm sure that our audience wants to hear that. I mean, you guys, this is really interesting to me because we hear about these encounters here all the time, but it's really cool to me that there's, people all over the world that are seeing these things, and it's just so interesting to me.
So, this person is writing to somebody named Bobby. Dear Bobby, in Vietnamese language, Norangi Rong, I'm probably saying that wrong, means jungle man. I wonder where is the area your Viet vet has met the jungle man. So can you give me more information about a story that this vet told you? In our country, I hear the rumor that one other jungle man has been captured by the U.S. Army in the war, and they carried him off to America by helicopter for scientific purpose. Now, in the same area, the American soldiers have met the jungle man, and it's at the Sa Tai Kontum province near the frontier with Cambodia and Laos. Some Vietnamese frontier guards have said that they have met some of the jungle men. I hear that the experts from the National University of Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, Hanoi, okay, have found some footprints of the jungle man near Sa Tai. And of course, they have a project to find the jungle man, like Bigfoot Research Project in North America. And this was sent from Nguyen Hu Thai in 1996 to this Bobby Short person. So again, I mean, you have the jungle man in Vietnam, and then I've also seen one here in Thailand. This is in 1986. My name is Amarat, and I wish to share with you the encounter that I had with what I will say is an ape man in Thailand. I am sending you a direct email. This is totally surreal, baffling, but unique experience happened when I was 6 or 7 years old. I am now 35, but remember every single detail like it happened to me yesterday. In a tiny village in southern Thailand called Pigman, in the country of Nakhon Siri Tamarat. Philbin is tiny, just a handful of houses on wooden stilts. A temple and a river ran behind the house. One day, while visiting my cousin, I lived in the neighboring village. I noticed that a crowd had gathered outside one of the houses a few doors down from where I was staying. I knew the house also served as a coffee shop. I witnessed to this day something that I might never have. Thought I would never have share with strangers for the fear of people thinking I am crazy. I saw perhaps 4 Thai soldiers, and 2 of them had what looked like a long leash that led to handcuffs, and then 2 ape-like creatures. In detail, they were tall, must have been 6 feet, walking upright like us, had dark fur, some color as like a chimpanzee, some features like a chimpanzee, but the eyes of a human. I know it sounds corny and crazy, but the only accurate way to describe them is that they look like creatures from that movie Planet of the Apes. They seemed to be both males, though I could not be 100% certain, but the soldiers dressed them in jeans and long-sleeve blue shirts, if I remember correctly. They were sipping hot, sweet tea with small spoons like humans. There was a crowd around them, and they didn't seem to be bothered. To me, it seems like they were used to this attention. They didn't act like how I presume an ape would act, but they say that they learn to more to the human side of their behavior. I was too young to ask what or who they were. I suppose due to the initial response from the villagers, it was their first time witnessing them as well. I remember that some of them asked the soldiers questions, but I can't recall what was said. I asked my cousin about them too, and they don't know anything about it. The two ape-like creatures seemed like they were used to humans. They didn't seem to mind the crowding around them as they sipped their tea, which is served in glass cups. They knew how to pick up the spoon and stir the spoon in the tea into their mouths rather than picking it up and drink from it. I presume they must have been captured for a while. Let's see here. They were not huge, not gorilla-like in their physique, no big heads, no huge shoulders, like some of the pictures I've seen while researching on the net. They were like men with a chimpanzee mask or half man, half chimpanzee in the best way I can describe them. Let's see here. I don't remember to see any hair on their faces, maybe around the frame, like maybe a beard, protruding ape-like mouth, human eyes, dark, but they had eyes that resembled a human as I can remember. I remember vividly seeing pain in one of their eyes. Their hair is black because they had long-sleeve shirts on and jeans. I can only see so much. The crowd packed into a tiny shop, and I remember the room was dark with many bodies straining to see what these two things were. Let's see here. And that's pretty much. The soldiers didn't seem threatened or bothered by them. After drinking their tea, they left. I remember watching them sip their tea with a spoon and sad look in their eyes. I will never forget that ever. To this day, if I could find them again, I would want to free them. Goodness knows that they came from where they came from and what happened to them, but I don't know that the Thai army had something. I do know the Thai army had something to do with it. So it says they were talking about a tiny little community in the deepest, thickest part of our Thai jungles in southern Thailand. No one would have the money to pay for a practical joke like that, though I never thought of researching or seeing if there was an army base nearby. Somebody out there knows something. Sadly, I feel perhaps that they were killed, but I have not heard anything about them. And that was in September of 2009.
Good grief, man. Wow. That's, I don't know, man.
I mean, it's interesting, but, in a way, it's kind of sad.
It is sad.
You know?
It is sad, man. Yeah, that is sad. It's that's a really sad encounter. I don't know. I did find those pictures from that previous story, or I was able to get those loaded.
Okay.
So I'm going to show these right here. Here's the first one.
Yeah, if you guys look
Over
right
here.
there, that's crazy. It's obvious. It's right there.
Yeah, you can see it to the right of the tree. And here's the second one. This one's just got a crop shot of what they caught there.
I mean, I can definitely see the shape of a head.
Yeah.
Like the person that's shooting this picture, they're getting the right side part, like the back and then the right shoulder and arm. That's the way it looks like to me.
Yeah. That's pretty wild, man. Yeah. Hey, give me if you'll give me just a few minutes, I'll be right back, Daniel.
Sure.
You got it from here? Okay, I'll be right
Yeah,
back,
I got it
guys.
from here.
Okay, all right.
So while he is away, you know what they say, while the cat's away, the mice shall play. I'll read another story for you guys. This one's called, let's see if I can bring it up. Oh, no, not that one. Let's see here. I found this really super cool site that has all these different stories on it and sightings, which is pretty cool. Let's do this Philippines one. Let's see if that one will come up. Okay. So this one is from the Philippines. 1961. I grew up in a small village called Balestorios in the province of Ilocos del Norte in the northwest corner of the island of Luzon in the Philippines. We immigrated to the United States in 1974. When I was a child, there was often traveling carnivals that would come through our town. One carnival advertised a cannibal that we could go into a tent and walk past and see. When I went into the tent, I saw this huge 6-foot tall, muscular, stocky, hairy creature that was held in a cage. It had an ape-like face and was rattling the cage. They were feeding it raw meat. The man who had the creature said it came from Sarawak or Borneo. We were just a lot of kids from the village who went to see the carnival that was in town. And that was reported in 2003. So, anybody who's gone to any, carnivals or anything like that, sometimes you'll see like a sideshow, and you can go to the sideshow and what they say freaks, you get to see the freaks. So, but yeah, if anybody wants to hear any other stories, say from the U.S., just type in a state and I'll see what I can find right here. It's a huge database. Everything's alphabetical order. So let me know what you guys would like to see, what state, if possible, what you want to hear from. Okay. Well, I know we have someone from Ohio and New York. Okay. Okay. Let's do New York. Here's one. It's called it's in Westchester County, New York, and it's called the Leatherman. This is a pretty long one. The original publication was September 19th, 2004. For no good reason other than abiding curiosity about local folklore and the nature of its eccentricity, I had always wanted to visit the fabled Leatherman Cave at Ward Pound Ridge Reservation in Westchester County, New York. So one day last week, I conquered my procrastination and set out for the 4,700-acre nature reserve, which is Westchester's largest public park and a lovely, tranquil vestige of its rural past. There I met Taro Aitaka, a 31-year-old assistant curator of the Trailside Museum, who guided me to a short, slippery path off Honey Hollow Road, where there were trees, jumbled glacial rocks, and remnants of an old stone wall that must have been intact when the Leatherman roamed the earth. Quickly, we came to an opening at the base of a 660-foot cliff called the Overlook. This was it, the cramped lair where the mysterious vagabond made his bed and fire. The Leatherman died 115 years ago, and his remains were buried in Ossinings's Sparta Cemetery, which stood in the darkness of the cave. Let's see. But in stooping in the darkness of the cave and taking in the silence of the surroundings, I had a nagging feeling I was invading the old hermit's privacy, and imagined he would suddenly emerge and grunt in his displeasure. Many probably know the basics of the Leatherman story, that he was a harmless soul who wore a bizarre outfit entirely made of stitched together patches of leather that curiously wandered the countryside accepting food from charitable farmers. He never took off the 60-pound suit, even in the sweltering months of summer. It is said that the people could hear him coming because of the creaking of the dry, cracked leather. But he must have had a powerful aroma that also announced his presence. Tarot said the Leatherman was known to bathe in streams without taking off his signature garment, and because he didn't wear any underclothes, the wet leather must have chafed him like a medieval penance. Remarkably, he kept to a strict itinerary. From 1860 to 1889, his route was a 365-mile loop that he covered on foot throughout the country towns and hamlets of western Connecticut, Putnam County, and the northern reaches of Westchester County in New York. Almost unfailingly, he completed his circuit in just 34 days. That dude walked 365 miles in 34 days. Holy smokes. A kind of unofficial hobo record that he may have veered from only when the blizzard of 1888 delayed him by 4 days. The farmers' wives could set their clocks by him, they used to say. For the Leatherman was in sync with nature's rhythm and the sun and the moon. It occurred to me that it's probably because the summer is about to give way to autumn that my thoughts turned to him in the first place. His lonely orbit was as reliable as the Earth's path through time and space. In an age before mental illness was fully understood, people were fascinated by him as if he were passing comet, and considered it a kind of an honor or a stroke of good luck when he chose their home as a regular stop for food. Children gravitated towards him, but he rarely spoke. A few photographs of him were taken pretty much against his will, and those that exist today show an unsmiling man lost in his madness. The mystery of his identity endures. It's generally accepted that he was a Frenchman named Jules Bourgelat, who lost his sanity after a failed business venture and romance, and then somehow made it into the United States. Some believe he died of cancer of the mouth. There is to believe evidence to suggest that his death was caused by a combination of effects of syphilis and mercury poisoning. On March 24th, 1889, his body was found curled up in a crude shelter he had built on a Mount Pleasant farm. After an inquest, the county coroner gave his leather suit to the Bowery Museum, where it was destroyed in a fire. Oh man, that is sad. The story of the Leatherman's death made the front page of the New York City papers, as recollections of his odd ways were repeated over and over again in newspapers, accounts, and magazines. He is the subject of at least one children's nursery rhyme, as well as a short story. In the 1930s, he was featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not. The Leatherman even captured the imagination of rocker Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam, who wrote a song about him, including this lyrics: Leatherman, Leatherman, shake his hand, he's Leatherman. Take some bread, he's Leatherman. Shame, he's dead. I saw his bed, it's all that is left. Leatherman, Leatherman, give me some skin, Leatherman. For all intents and purposes, the Leatherman's life remains unexplained, which is why he continues to fascinate, said Jonathan Kirk, a storyteller from Cold Springs who nearly every year for the past 20 years has helped preserve this legend of the Leatherman by giving popular talks and tours of the Pound Ridge Cave. Crook first learned of the Leatherman when he was a boy growing up in Cannock, where the Leatherman slept in another cave at an intersection of Cherry Street and Bedford Road. In all, the Leatherman's frequent perhaps 24 caves in his route. He's sort of our own Sasquatch or Loch Ness monster, but the difference is he was real, says Kirk, whose next tour will be held November 4th. He also wandered very tangible roadways, pathways that we can still see now. But it's still a mystery that holds us even today of this everlasting enigma. So, I mean, that's kind of a sad tale.
What did you do, man? I walk away for 5 minutes and you start telling sad stories.
Well, I said, does anybody want to hear a story? What do we got? And I got New York up here. But, here's the thing. I mean, again, this is like an unknown mystery in a way. Little is known about this person. And as it said, back then, little was known about mental illness. And to his chagrin, people took pictures of him. He didn't really want to have pictures taken of him. So, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this is kind of like American folklore of a person that actually existed, but you don't know much about him. Just what is told, word for word, year after year after year.
It's a strange world, when I started, Mysteries Unknown, the very first episode, was about Bigfoot, but I always had intentions on doing more than that because there's so much out there that we don't understand and things like that and stories like that are just, they're out there, but it's a strange world, man. Really, really strange world. So, makes you wonder what people did before Google, man, finding this stuff out. You can find stuff out from all around the world, man, in just a second. So that's pretty neat. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this show tonight. I know we're doing something a little bit different, but these creatures are absolutely everywhere, and it's really unique to talk about. So let's see. Nathaniel Harris says, I've been out a few weeks. Have you guys covered giants yet? There's supposed to be some red-haired giants in Afghan mountains. I have not. We've not done that, but I know you've read about it. So.
I have, and here's the thing. It's the giant of Kandahar. I have researched that extensively. I found a lot of things about that, but it's not the only reported sighting of giants in the mountains of Afghanistan. And if you guys, I promise you, I will get something ready for you on that. And, if we do the Yeti on our next live, the one after that, we'll definitely do the giants of Afghanistan, because there's Kandahar and there's a couple other regions where giants have been witnessed, giants have been encountered. And some of the stuff, a lot of it is pretty much like from our special operations teams, guys who are out there. No one knows they're out there except for the eyes in the sky. And some of the eyewitness accounts that they retell of their sightings when they were there are amazing, and they're mind-blowing.
When you say the word giant, I'm going to bring up, Genesis 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to, and that's something that would be really interesting to deep dive into. And that stuff has always fascinated me, man. It's such a strange world. And, what gets me is the kind of people that are reporting those sightings, man, are pretty reliable people, from the ones you were talking about. So it should be good, man. This should be a good one. So it sounds like we got our next couple of lives lined up. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I found another cool one. This one is in Maine, in Freedom Knox County, Maine, December 2009. Nearest city to sighting is Freedom, Maine, Route 137, heading towards Albion, Maine from Freedom, Maine. I was slowing down to look at 2 trucks for sale at a residence. As I pulled in front of the trucks about 200 feet ahead in the road, a very tall, hairy creature crossed the road and entered the woods. Okay, hold on. I got a couple little more paragraphs on here, but think about it. You pull off the road to look. You get out of your truck, and as you're getting out of your truck to look, you're probably going around the front of your truck. And then 200 feet in front of you, you see this very tall, hairy creature cross the road. 200 feet. Imagine how quick that thing can cover 2,000 feet. Because I'm telling you right now, when I was in the military and I saw that thing, and it covered like 200 yards in seconds. Like, come on now, for real. At first, I did not believe what I saw. I drove to the spot. It went into the woods and got out of the truck and walked into the tree line. I could hear branches break and saw something move, but it was too far to make out again. It was roughly 7 feet tall, had dark hair. The body had longer hair, but its face had shorter hair like a young gorilla has. It spooked me for a while, and I never mentioned to anyone until a few days later. That's crazy. But see, that's
crazy,
kind of those are like my favorite kind of encounters. They really are. You know, this is broad daylight.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they
here's
crossed the road.
That's my thing is why do they cross the road and why do it in the middle of the day? Like, and it happens a lot, man. It happens, a whole lot. And it makes you wonder, because I think they're very intelligent, and it makes me wonder why they do that. I don't understand, but who knows?
I think I have that answer for you, though.
I'd love to hear it, man.
So reading all the encounters that I have and some of the research I've done, I think they cross the road to get to the other side. That's why. And they do it during the day so they don't trip or step on anything. I'm just saying, it's logical.
Perfect, man. Listen, guys, you come here for all the answers. We just gave you the answer. We solved the mystery.
Why did Sasquatch cross the road to get to the other side?
There you go. There you go. I love it, man. I love it. That's so great. That is so good. You never know what you're going to get on this show, but you're going to have a good time. I'm starting to think it needs to be a requirement, though, if you're going to watch the show with us and chat and live, you need to have some kind of coffee. What do you think, man? You're not a coffee drinker, but you know.
But I did say I'm going to start drinking coffee because I've got to click on that link so I can order me some.
Oh yeah, man.
Mysteries Unknown
coffee.
I need
to get that link. Oh, dude, you do so much, man. You always do. You always do, man.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. These lives wouldn't be the same without you. So they just wouldn't. I'm trying to find the link to the coffee. I've got it pinned here if I can find it. So if I can find it, I'll drop it in the chat here. So let's see here.
Well, I know someone said Tennessee. They wanted to hear a story from Tennessee. So let's see here. Well, I mean, do you guys? I mean, I have one from Tennessee. That's a kind of a long story. Let's see here.
Well, I think, where do you think, what is and this is something I've always wanted to talk about, but what do you think is the second most populated sighting place for Bigfoot, man? I know Washington State has more encounters than anybody else, but where else do you think, man?
It's either... Amity goes, Daniel needs to concoct a blend called Mountain Brew. Yes,
that's true.
I'm not a coffee drinker.
A lot of Mountain Dew.
Diet
he drinks
Mountain
a lot
Dew.
of Mountain Dew. Yeah.
Anything that's like Diet or Zero.
Jesus is King says 3 Kips in, loving it.
Nice.
That's good. That's always good. Let me see. I put the link in the chat here, and I'm not sure if it's going to let me let you click on that link. So I'm going to go in here and I'll put it in the description of the video. If you guys want to go and order a bag of Mysteries Unknown coffee, that would be awesome. It supports the channel, helps us keep doing these lives. And
I could click it in the chat.
You can? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm also going to put it inside the description of the video if you guys want to go back and check out the coffee. So it's pretty good stuff, man. I really like it. I'm a big coffee drinker. I probably drink, man, I don't know, a pot or 2 a day. I drink a lot of coffee, and I can drink it right before bed. I do. I can drink it right before bed and go right to sleep. So, I mean, that's just I don't know. It came back for, when I was a cop, man, like that, you had to learn to drink it to stay up at night. But I will tell you, man, like how do I sleep? I sleep really good. I can go right to sleep. Ask my wife. She gets irritated at me sometimes because I can just roll over and go right to sleep. So I guess because I've drank it for so long, I don't know. But my first day as a green patrolman, man, like I didn't know what to expect. Here's my coffee story. We'll get back to the Bigfoot stuff, but I didn't drink coffee. Never drank it. And anybody that's worked third shift at all knows that coffee's your best friend, and especially in law enforcement where you're supposed to be alert. But I was walked into the department. My lieutenant came out and he's like, "Hey, I got a test for you right off the bat today. If you cannot pass this test, you might as well get in your car and go back home." I'm like, "What in the world? This is, my first day on the job. Am I going to lose my job? What's going on?" So go back there. He takes me to the back of the apartment, pours me a big old cup of coffee, and he's like, "Drink this. If you can't drink it, you'll never make it." So that was my introduction to coffee, and I absolutely have been hooked ever since. So drink lots of coffee, and but Freddie, your mom and dad drink coffee all day long. It's good for you. I love it. My grandpa drank coffee constantly, and he passed away at 93 years old, and so it was good for him. Any sightings in Maryland? Let me see what I can find. I know that there are sightings in Maryland. I've not interviewed anybody on the show yet from Maryland, but there's definitely encounters all over the U.S. I get emails every day almost about these creatures. Now, I will say that there is one dogman encounter that I was able to pull up really quick in Maryland. So I'll read this to you guys. And the first time I've read it myself. So one morning around 6 a.m. about 2 years ago, I was living not far from Washington, D.C. A friend of a friend needed a roommate to afford rent for an apartment he had found. So when it was told about this, my first thought was, oh yeah, here's my chance to move out of my parents' house. After about 6 months of living there, I noticed that on certain nights I would hear loud roars. Now this says it's from Montgomery County, Maryland. So I don't know why they said Washington, D.C.
Because it's
Maybe
close.
it wasn't far
Close
from
to
there.
Washington,
Yeah,
DC.
that's right. My brain went to the state of Washington. I don't know why. About 6 months living there, I noticed that on certain nights I would hear loud roars in the distance. I could never tell how far away the noise was or where it was coming from. It would sometimes sound nearby or just far enough away that I wouldn't mind being outside to see what it might be making that sound from a safe distance. I lived in a quiet, wooded area. A lot of people lived in the area. I actually lived within 5-minute walking distance away from the University of Maryland. One morning around 6 a.m., I just snapped awake from a deep sound sleep for no reason at all. I started to go back to sleep, but thought to myself, why am I wide awake and alert? It was strange. I was completely awake. Then right in my backyard, I heard a low, deep growl. That's when I knew something was up. The moment I heard that, I knew that's why I woke up. I remained quiet and I didn't move for the next 5 to 10 minutes. As the thing started to become very active in my backyard, it went from a very low growl to heavy breathing. This thing's lungs had to be massive because it sounded like the same way a horse would if you were standing right up next to it. When it breathed through its nose, it sounded like a horse. But this thing sounded like it was very aggressive. I knew it wasn't a horse in the backyard. That wouldn't be possible. Let's see. But what I saw was very real. It literally ran from my backyard to the dividing fence from my backyard and from my neighbor's backyard again and again. It made no sense for me for it to be doing that. It would often stop or sniff around and sneeze very loudly. It sounded like it was right next to my window, and I was on the second floor. I didn't want to look out the window because I thought there was no way in the world anyone else is hearing this right now but me. This thing is trying to get my attention on purpose. I stayed still in my bed without moving. I was beyond scared. I really thought it was a werewolf, even before I saw it. I always thought that they were real. The guys that lived below me started yelling and screaming. Let's see. El Diablo, over and over again. They yelled that. I could hear the thing leaving the backyard, so I hurried to try to get a look at it. When I did, all I saw was its backside. This thing was massive, with broad shoulders like a bodybuilder, and it had ears sticking up on its head. It slowly walked away until I saw of it. That's a pretty scary encounter. Yep, pretty scary. You know, with these things, it's something to see. I mean, it is definitely scary to see these things out in the wilderness, right? Like out in the middle of nowhere, and you know, it's super dangerous because you could be a missing 411. But man, it's something else to have these things in your backyard and know where you live. That's a whole other thing. That to me is way scarier. You know, I'd have a hard time sleeping at night, man, after that.
Yeah, it's hard to comprehend, especially when you think, okay, this is my house.
Yeah.
You know, I know my property, I know my surrounding areas, and then all of a sudden, boom, you have something that just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. You feel violated in a way because what you known as safety for so long, living in an area, knowing your area intimately. Like I know the area around my house like 5 miles. I've walked this area. I've walked through the neighborhoods. We have a forest, like a little park. I've walked through that forest many, many, many times. Hey, Janet, how's it going? I feel completely safe and secure in there. But I'll tell you right now, the first time that I hear something that's out of the ordinary or see something, it's going to change for me.
Yeah. I remember, you know, when I had my encounter at 14 years old at my mom and dad's house, you know, that was my safe haven. My dad always made sure that we were safe, but that changed things for me because I knew something was out there, and just the way that encounter had happened, I knew instantly it wasn't a good thing. And it really creeped me out, and it kind of took some of that peace away from me, I guess, for a while. And yeah, that's one of the scariest type of encounters when these things come around your house and stuff. So pretty wild stuff, man. Dude, you did a really good job tonight, man. Researching stuff, getting those stories pulled out for everybody. That was really interesting stuff.
I guys, if you can't tell, I love doing this. I honestly I love doing it.
Yeah, he's the research guru. He is so good at that stuff, and finds all these stories, and we enjoy doing these lives with you guys, and it's just a lot of fun. And I appreciate the community that we're building, all the members out there. Thank you guys for the support. Thanks for being here and being part of this community, and just letting me and Daniel get on here and hang out and have a good time. So it's always fun, man. It's always a good time.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Let me shout something. How Superfly, I reached out to you, I think it was today or yesterday. I'd love to have you on the show to talk about your encounter. So get a hold of me when you get a chance, man. Go for it. Ask away, Danny.
Yeah, Superfly and we talk back and forth.
Oh, awesome.
We do. Hey, Daniel, I text you back. Okay, let's do it. I'll read it later, man. I promise you. Guys, seriously, thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, so if someone was to order your coffee, about how long, maybe someone can answer it but how long does it usually take to get to you? So say someone ordered it on Monday, when would they get it?
So they ship them out. It's freshly ground on Monday. Every Monday is when they ship those out. So like if you order on Friday, it'll ship out that Monday. And so depending on where you're at, so you know, it could take up to 4 days, 5 days, something like that. So within a week. So yeah, pretty quick. And it's fresh ground coffee. So they ground it, they bag it when you place your order, but they do those on Monday. So they make sure it gets it out fresh to you. So it is really good quality coffee, really smooth. I really like it. So it's good stuff. It really is.
All right. Hold on to your hats, guys. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it. I know what you're going to do, man.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Bo Ballard. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Bo.
Happy birthday, Bo. That's a good way to spend your birthday, man. Thanks for spending your birthday with us. Not everybody gets to be sang to by the one and only Daniel. Pretty special birthday gift, man.
So
Pretty
back to my
special.
question about that coffee. So I should be getting my coffee next week then, right?
Yes, you'll get yours next week. Did you order some?
I did.
Oh, man, you didn't have to do that.
I
But
ordered-
I'm glad you did, man.
I ordered 12 pounds.
12 ounces of
No,
coffee.
I'm just kidding. I just ordered
Somebody
one.
who doesn't drink much coffee, you're going to be knee deep in coffee, man. That's that's great.
12
Well, I
pounds
appreciate
of
it, man.
coffee. My wife you would never see me again. I'd be dead.
Yeah, you would be, man. I'd be like, what happened to Daniel? He just,
He ordered 12 pounds of coffee and his wife found out.
that was it. You'd be toast, man. You'd be sleeping on the couch for a month.
Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great. Well, listen, I know we're about to wrap things up here, but why don't you tell them a little bit about what you got going on, man?
Okay. All right, everybody. So after talking about it, and some butt kicking by Josh, I started my own YouTube channel, and I'm going to try to get it on Spotify as well, because I've had like a few people ask me, is it on Spotify? So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. Try to get it on Spotify. So if Josh, if maybe you could put it across the screen or something like that, the name of the podcast. The podcast name is the Paranormal Narrative Podcast. And right now I have 2 episodes. I have 2 episodes up on YouTube right now. And this is something I've always wanted to do. I will be putting some of my encounters on there. A couple of people in the chat who I communicate with regularly. I have sent them a couple of my stories. I have told Josh a few of my stories. I've got some sad ones, and I have absolutely some terrifying ones. Happened when I was roughly 4 or 5 years old. I remember it to this day like it happened yesterday. I've had reoccurring dreams. I'm almost 53, and the last recurring dream I had, honestly, was about 5 months ago. And it was like it happened the very first time I had it. So that's the name of my podcast. If you guys would like to be on the show, if you've had any encounters with the paranormal or something you just can't explain, UFO, anything like that, shoot me an email. It's the name of the show, the Paranormal Narrative Podcast @gmail.com. I, out of respect for my buddy, my brother from another mother, I will not discuss Dogman. I will not discuss really any other cryptids, especially Bigfoot or Dogman. That's Josh's lane. This is my lane, and so yeah. So I have 2 episodes up. My very first episode is Josh, and he goes through some of his encounters. And then the second episode is with a buddy of mine from work. His is pretty crazy. And what I plan on doing is, until I get more people, I'm going to put out as much content as I possibly can. So there might be 3 or 4 I do in a week, or it might be 1 I do in a week. But I would like to get on a schedule so I can release things out to everybody. I'll do interviews like Josh does. I probably won't do any lives at this point in time. Down the road, I would like to. I'll also probably do some I'll read some of my accounts or tell some of my accounts. I've written a lot of them down, so if they sound scripted, it's because I'm reading from them. And then I might discuss like popular hauntings, things like that. So, but yeah, it's a labor of love. I enjoy doing it. Josh has boosted me and given me the courage and the know-how and the template to get it done. So if anybody would like to go on YouTube, like you're on now, after the show, go on over to the Paranormal Narrative Podcast. Subscribe, give me a like, comments, share. I'm open for any and all criticism, good or bad. I learn from that way, and that way I can produce a better product for you guys. I constantly ask Josh, hey, Josh, we do this way? What did you think? What can we do? So he's my sensei, and I'm going to follow him. And I appreciate everybody who's already checked it out. I truly am grateful for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. And again, if it's something that you guys are interested in, I try to put out a good show for you guys. So again, thank you so much. And I hope to see you on that channel as well, because Josh and I, we have some grandeur. What's the word I'm looking for? We have some dreams. We have big dreams. That we would like to start something. And see, look at this. It was my birthday on Thursday. Virginia, happy birthday to you. I say happy birthday to you. Virginia, happy birthday to you, Virginia. I said happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
You feel a little Elvis in there, man. Like, wow.
Thank you very much.
Jack of all trades.
I'm going to win this race.
That's hilarious. You never know what you're going to get with this podcast, but you will have a good time. So that's always good. And yeah, I when I started this channel, I never knew that I would meet somebody like Daniel. And I think you were probably like one of the first people to ever email me. And I'm glad you did, man. It definitely changed my life and made a lifelong friend. So I'm glad that you're here, man. And, I think that for me, man, and I appreciate that. I'm like you, man. I on this channel, you're not going to find that stuff. And, number one reason is I promised my wife that I wouldn't talk about that. We had a very bad experience with this stuff. And, my opinion of them is it's just what we had happen to us was pretty evil. And if you want to hear about it, you can go check it out there. But I definitely don't bring glory to those things because I think they're bad. But anyways, Daniel's a great host. He will definitely take care of you guys and give you guys a safe place. So I'm honored to have you here, man, as a co-host on these lives, and just excited for what's to come, man. But I am almost out of coffee.
You want to know why I had such a great day today, man? Because I was coming out of Walmart, and yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I get that message. Hey, bro, if it's not okay, if you're not up to it, that's cool. Do you want to do a live tonight? Absolutely, man. I'm telling you, it's kind of like I haven't seen my family. This tribe is my family, and awesome. My extended family, I should say. And
it's awesome.
Appreciate everything you guys do. It just made my day better. Well,
I'm glad, man. Same here. It's always a blast to hang out with you. Any chance I get to see you and hang out with you is a good thing. And then hang out with everybody here. It's an amazing community, man. You guys are awesome. We couldn't do it without you. And, you guys are just as much a part of this as me and Daniel and the people who come on the show. And so very grateful for everybody here and all the support. If you've got something you would like to send me, please send it to me. If it's a mystery or an encounter, I would love to hear about it at mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com. I want to answer one more question before we get off here. Superfly, make sure you get a hold of me next week, man. I want to have you on the show. But he says, I wish y'all would give a quick take on why so many people are having encounters now. Is the veil opening? I will tell you this, man. This is my opinion. I think, for one, there's a couple ways to look at it. But for one, I think that people, it's not as taboo to talk about as much as it used to be. I think people are not as afraid to come forward with these encounters and talk about them. So there's that set of things, but I also think too, man, every day is one day closer to the end of this stuff, man. And I think that these things are coming out of the woodwork, maybe because of that. I don't know. I think they are more than flesh and blood. That's my take on it. I think they're probably Nephilim or something in that realm. So maybe that's why. Maybe we're getting closer to that day, like the Bible says. I don't know, but it's a wild world, man. And I would love to have you on and chat about that with you, man. So get a hold of me. I know we texted a couple times, but let me know what your schedule's like next week, and I'll have you on the show. But man, I'm ready to call it a night, man.
Yeah,
out of coffee.
Well, I had a great time, man. I really did. And someone sent me a message in Messenger that I need to work on my northern accent. You guys, my wife says I have a mutt accent because, I grew up on the West Coast, but I also lived for, some periods of time in West Virginia and in Florida and Montana and Texas and Tennessee, so
all over.
I mean,
well,
I got it's just a mush mouth. That's all I got.
He can sing to you like Elvis. He can sing to you like a Southerner. What else do you want? I mean, come on. So if it's your birthday, let us know on the next live, and Daniel will sing you happy birthday. So,
very
guys,
nice.
It was great. Yeah, it was good to see everybody. You guys are awesome. Thanks to all the members. Thanks to everybody who's with us tonight. Loved hanging out with you guys, and that's all I got. Paw Power, it's good to see you, man. As always, Virginia, it's good to see you. Greasebag McQueen, glad to have you here as a member, man. Glad you joined. Frida, is always good to see you. Janet, great to see you. Alexandria, Taff the Wanderer, good to see you. Jesus is King. Taff, you're awesome, man. You guys are all awesome. Thankful for everybody, all the support. And with all that, Andy, it's good to see you. I think I'm done, man. You got anything else?
I'm typing a real quick message here. Lisa said she couldn't find my channel on YouTube, so it's only got 2 on there. So Lisa, go ahead, just send me an email. If anybody cannot find the link to my channel on YouTube, here's my email address. It's Hamilton D. So it's Hamilton, like on a $10 bill. Initial D is in Delta 1172@gmail.com. Let me know who you are. Hey, it's so-and-so from the live. I can't find your channel. I'll send you a link to one of the shows, and then you guys can subscribe if you want to. Again, I'm going to try to give you guys, if I can give you 1% of what Josh gives you, hopefully I'll be able to do that. So, dude, come on.
Well, here's the biggest thing I can tell you, man. Always make your show about your guests and give them a safe platform and let the stories breathe. And you'll do that, man. You'll do that, man. You'll do that in spades. You got that. So you don't have to thank me, man. But
dude, did you hear that? Look at what Bo said. Daniel, y'all need to come to Arkansas. I'll take you up some wild Ozark country. Listen, man, I'm telling you, Bo, if I come to Arkansas, seriously, if I come to Arkansas, I'm packing. I'm bringing my rifle, and I'm going to bring my 45 long Colt, my cowboy revolver, and my 9mm, and my snub-nose 357 Magnum, because I'm not messing with any feral people. I'm more scared of feral people than I am Bigfoot or Dogman. I'm telling you.
Hey, listen, you making fun of us people down here in Arkansas, Daniel?
Bro, I was right across the river from you guys.
Listen, the Ozarks, man. Listen, we need to do a whole show about the Ozarks because that's one. And listen, your guns are welcome here, so you can pack all you want, and nobody will say nothing to you. So, all right, man, I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here, guys.
You got it.
Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. I truly, truly appreciate it. And again, the Paranormal Narrative podcast on YouTube. And if you need me, there's my email address. Send me an email, and I'll get you guys I'll send you a link. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
You guys are awesome. Thanks for being part of this community. Couldn't do it without you guys. And if you take anything away from this podcast tonight, stay prayed up. It is so, so, so very, very important. Never going to get off here without saying that. So, guys, have a good night, and we will see you guys soon. Later.